Hey guys, what's up? Hope everybody's doing good out there today, and thanks for tuning back into the channel. And if you guys watched my videos the last couple of days, I've been talking about some June or summer offshore techniques that I've been liking to fish, like the hair jigs, big spoons, big crankbaits, and that type of stuff. But I also want to give you guys another really good June option if you don't like fishing offshore, which is one of my favorite ways to catch them in June, July, and August. And that is basically looking for bluegill beds and fishing bluegill beds shallow. Because these fish, yeah, it's an ant. Hold on a second, guys. You gonna say hi?
Hi, I just got an ant right there.
Yeah, we got an ant in the tackle room here. I just been following him around. But anyway, what the deal is these bluegill, on any man-made lake across the country, these bluegill will spawn all summer long. In fact, they spawn as long as the water temperature is over 75 degrees, which can be from June, into September and October in some places. And that's why on a lot of lakes, you have these really predominant patterns.
There's a spider.
Yeah, there's a spider. Okay. You got these really predominant summer patterns that revolve around the bluegill spawn. If you guys have followed much of the Forestwood Cup down at Lake Ouachita that the FLW had, a few years ago, you can see how big of a deal the bluegill spawn was with that. A lot of the top finishers caught them like that. So I'm going to tell you guys, or just give you guys a little bit of advice on what to look for and how I like to fish bluegill beds. Now, first of all, let's talk about areas. Bluegills, if you guys fish much at all, you've probably seen bluegill spawning. And they like to spawn, if you have a lake that's got a lot of boat docks, they like to spawn behind, like underneath the walkways on the boat docks, on the flatter banks. If you don't have a lake that has many boat docks, the areas that I like to look for them in are the back ends, the extreme back ends of the flatter coves, places that have less than a 45-degree angle slope, particularly if you have small rock, pea gravel, that type of stuff's really good. And the things I really like to look for where these bluegills like to spawn is if you have an area that has any type of overhanging trees that produce some shade. Bluegills will spawn underneath these overhanging trees that produce shade, and they'll build their nests underneath that. And also, especially in the back of these coves, if you have any type of shallow targets like laydowns, stumps, that type of stuff, they're going to bed in. And if the water clarity is anything, 2 foot or greater, you can see these beds pretty easily. But if it's less than that, it's a little bit more difficult to do. So you can pattern this type of stuff. You can basically just spend your time in June, July, and August running the back ends of these coves, targeting these bluegill beds, and catch some really quality bass or some good fish that use these. 2 techniques I want to share with you guys based upon water clarity. There's 2 different baits that I fish for bluegills, bedding fish most of the time, and that's a popper. This is like the Megabass Pop Max, and a walking topwater like the Megabass Diamante. Now, the 2 different times that I use these, if the water visibility is pretty clear, like if you've got over 3 foot of visibility, lakes again like Lake Ouachita, Bull Shoals, Table Rock, some of the lakes back east like Lake Lanier, clear water situation, I find that a walking topwater is the key deal, because in a lot of these lakes with clear water, you can cover a lot of water on these flat banks and, pull these fish up that are close to these bluegill areas, because you don't necessarily have to be fishing the bait right over the top of the bluegill beds. It's basically the areas that these bluegills are spawning in. So any type of cove that has good bluegill spawning habitat, you're apt to catch one. And in clear water situations, the topwater walking bait is the #1 deal for me. Now, if you're fishing in water visibilities that are less than 3 feet, in that 2 foot range or less, that's when I like to use a popper, because a popper will produce a lot better if the water's a little bit dirty, I found. You can keep a popper in one place a little bit longer, and the thing that I found out about popper fish when you're fishing bluegill beds, the fish are much more target oriented. They're usually, again, around some type of hard objects or the shade, that type of stuff, whereas on a clear water reservoir, they can be scattered in a lot of different areas on there. It seems like the bluegill will spawn in clear water in different water depths and around open banks too. So in dirtier water, they spawn shallower and usually around some type of target. So I can take the popper and I can work that real slow in the back ends of those coves and still cover a lot of water, but I can keep that bait in one spot a little bit longer. So anyway, I just want to let you guys know this is a really good summertime option. If you just do not like to fish deeper, if you don't like to crank, if you don't like to throw hair jigs and big spoons, which I don't really care to do that myself, you have this option of running this bluegill pattern all through the summer. And it's a type of deal that produces quality fish. It's not like you're going to get a lot of bites doing it, but you can get some quality fish doing it. I think Jacob Wheeler won the Forest Wood Cup on Lanier with partially fishing bluegill beds one year. A lot of tournaments get won in the summertime doing it. It's just a really good way to catch them. So anyway, guys, that's just a quick tip. You know, bluegill bed fishing with topwaters, fun way to catch them. Cover a lot of water. Like I said, good option if you don't like fishing out off the bank. And again, thanks for tuning in the video. Much appreciated. Hit that like button if you guys like it, and subscribe. And we'll be back tomorrow with another one. See ya.